Today, we're going to talk about how Russia is moving towards leadership in the field of financial tokenization and what awaits us in the era of digitization. We will discuss how AI is influencing the financial industry, and we'll put a special focus on the experience of the transformation into an AI-driven organization. We'll talk about the achievements and, of course, the cross-platform interoperability of digital financial assets, as well as the topic of Web3. We have a very interesting and tight agenda, and we'll propose the start of the day with one of the most anticipated topics. That will be presented by the CEO, Chairman of the Executive Board of Sberbank, Herman Gref. Ladies and gentlemen, hello. I'm sorry for talking to you through a video call. Unfortunately, the right before the New Year schedule is so tight, means that it's very packed. So I'm on a business trip. We have a regional week, a week of the region. So I'm on a business trip, but it is a great pleasure for me to welcome you all, and I would love to have some introductory remarks on the outlook of AI and blockchain in the financial sector. I think all of you can read a lecture on the AI influence on the financial industry. In the last year, the development of the AI and its influence on finances and other sectors did not accelerate. It actually, the dynamics of AI spread increased. And if you talk about ChatGPT, the most used AI technology, every third person on the planet makes at least one prompt a day. 2.5 billion of prompts every day are sent to ChatGPT. And I have to say, this is not the only resource that is built on generative AI. They were the first ones. They were the trailblazers, that's true. They used the fine-tuning technology, but anyway, currently there's a cutthroat competition, and it's really hard to understand who is going to emerge as a leader, as a winner of the competition. We have seen what has happened during this year. The AI went to an expert level, has become an expert, and we now see a pretty good agent systems. You can now use AI as autonomous systems, and we can see that during this time and during the time that went between this day and the previous conference, a lot has been made. AGI might appear very soon, maybe next year. The forecasts are now varied, because before experts said that it's gonna take 2-3 years. Now the forecast says that it's gonna be 2-10 years. I have not seen any serious forecast that would say that the AGI would be created after 2035 yet. The creation of this technology might require much more time. The creation of the artificial general intelligence, the strong AI. Currently, we see that, well, first of all, the financial sector is the leader in terms of AI, Gen AI implementation, and overall, economy-wide, we see that there are attempts to maximize AI in the business functions. More than 50% of companies in this way or another have implemented Gen AI in some functions. There is no example yet when any company can say that they are AI-driven or AI-native organization, but the financial sector in Russia is one of the obvious leaders in this area. We see that the revolution that is driven by AI will permeate through all the levels of and areas of businesses, and including our business. It will affect all of our systems, and we need to do a lot to make our systems adapt to the AI technology. While having the most advanced IT landscapes, we think that it will take us 3 to 5 years to truly adjust the landscape to ensure that we are an AI native organization, that we're a full-fledged AI-driven organization with AI-based DNA, where the majority of decisions are taken autonomously. There's a huge efforts ahead, and I think that in the nearest future we will have to redesign and rethink our IT landscape. Agents in the financial sector have become pretty mundane. There are now platforms that are driven by AI agents, but if you talk about Sber, we have hundreds of agents. I cannot really tell you the exact number. More than 200 agents we had in autumn. Currently, I think it goes beyond 500, and a couple, I think around another 500 are being developed currently as we speak. So I think in 2026 we will see that multi-agent systems and various agent systems will emerge, will automate some functions on the financial market, and they will be much more popular. We see that the central banks are more actively using full-fledged existing Gen AI models, and they also use dedicated LLMs that fine-tune them for their functions. The central banks are pretty conservative in terms of the full-fledged implementation, and I think maybe that's the way to go, because the agent systems are not very stable to ensure error-free decision-making. But I think basically all central banks in the world are experimenting with it, and our central bank, the Russian central bank, is keeping up the pace. They try to implement various AI in various functions, but they're still kind of lagging behind the overall financial sector, but it is understandable because the regulator has to implement much more time-tested decisions and solutions, because the decisions of the regulator influences the macro economic picture. We see that the AI model application in financial sector means that the AI in fintech will grow 2.5-fold by 2030. The key factors, key drivers will be the personalization, the key drivers of using Gen AI in fintech, a totally different approach in risk management and compliance, and this approach will be radically different, and major investments in cybersecurity, the security and safety of using the models, and investments in your proprietary landscape to ensure the proper flow and high quality of data that can be used by the models. For Gen AI to be much more effective, many-fold more effective than the current processes, it's very important to ensure a continuous flow of high-quality data. because these models can make decisions in real time. And that helps to drastically increase the effect of their applications. At the same time, the risks of AI applications are growing. So for the banks, the safety and security of using AI models and making sure they are aligned and making sure that the agents are not too creative are the challenges on the agenda. Currently, the GenAI agents, none of GenAI agents can give you the precision of banking transactions. That is 99.99%. That's the benchmark for the banking transactions. And there's still a long way to go to be able to fully use GenAI systems in making precise financial decisions. We are currently building multi-agent systems based on combined or hybrid systems when we use some agents while ensuring the proper validity and precision. And we also use algorithmic agents. And these systems, hybrid systems, show pretty good results. I think in the next couple of years, we are going to move to the proper precision benchmark for the GenAI systems, and this will be one of the key tasks for our developers. Now, if we look at AI applications, we have analyzed it for a pretty long time. There will be no industry that should not be redesigned in terms of the processes. Whatever we do, we have to rethink it totally. Before we tried to create the similar products of the Western companies that left the Russian market. But now with GenAI capabilities, we have to think outside of the box. When we think about such systems as SAP, the entire market is trying to replace SAP, and we have decided that we do not need to replace SAP, we do not need to substitute it. We have sliced SAP in small pieces, and some parts of these pieces have been rewritten and implemented, recoded and implemented, and some of the other parts will be developed. We are developing them based on GenAI. We're doing it right now. It will be much more effective. It will be quick and won't cost that much money. And we won't need to code these systems from scratch because the architecture of the systems is becoming outdated. Here on the slide, we have all the areas where we use GenAI and where we use AI. We use it everywhere in corporate banking, investments, insurance, totally new capabilities and opportunities for insurance. The radical improvement of the customer experience. Everything is done online in real time. And I think that insurance will be mostly disrupted by AI because huge opportunities appear here. Capital management, everything related to ALM and all of that. Every month, it's increasingly more of these processes is put on AI. And that includes risk management. GigaChat now underpins all these activities, including risk management. And GigaChat in finances is showing the best benchmarks among all other models that are on the market. And that includes Qwen and DeepSeek, ChatGPT and Grok, Gemini, and yes, in finances, we have made sure that our models are great at finances. It shows great results. Doesn't mean that you can just take it out of the box and just use it. It needs to be fine-tuned. It needs to be properly validated. At the same time, we migrate gradually all of our operations and transactions on not on some abstract models, diverse models, but on GigaChat. You can use various models to do benchmarking, but it's absolutely not rational to use a diverse model range in your landscape. You have to have a fundamental model because, I mean, if your various functions create various agents, when you test drive them, it's okay. We had a period like that when we allowed everyone to use whatever models they needed, the models that deliver the best benchmarks. But if you are building the whole landscape underpinned by AI, there's no sense of using diverse models because in this case you lose cross-functionality and the capability of finding and getting the benefits as well as the anomalies across the entire landscape of what you do.
Eventually, we finalized this process, this migration from older models to the new ones, and we are currently in the course of giving up thousands and thousands of legacy models in favor of a single model, which architecturally requires an addition of certain other analytical methods and tools in order to become a full-blown functionality model for banking. We have completed the first stage. We are currently in stage 2. And it has been quite a challenge, frankly speaking. Thousands of our specialists in AI were working hard to create a state-of-the-art landscape for the previous generation of AI, and it has been serving us really well, but now we are migrating to this new toolkit. And especially when you compare it against the benchmarks with the previous model, and you see that the previous model is still winning by certain benchmarks, by certain parameters, it's really hard to break through this mental barrier of venturing into something that's uncharted, that's completely new. But we do believe that this technology is way more beneficial than the previous generations of AI. Agent-based systems, I will not talk about this in too much detail because I'm sure all of you have been experimenting with it yourselves. So have we. We have our own AI agents. That was back in 2024 that we started doing this, and since then the implementation has been getting increasingly easier. A big step forward for us. We have been investing a lot of resources in Gen AI, and GigaChat 3.0 is a fully open source model. 700 billion parameters, second in the world by size. There is this Kimi model by a Chinese company that is leading by the number of parameters, 1 trillion. We are second. And this model, as I said, is open source. In addition to the large GigaChat Ultra model, we have deployed another model for optimized operations with fewer parameters, but still showing great results by a number of benchmarks. And another open source model, the diffusion model for generating images, Kandinsky 5. All our models are currently open source. So the question of whether we are ready to share our technology has been answered. We are. we are using the same models that we are publishing. We do not have any models that we're hiding for ourselves. And as we upgrade our open source models, you will be getting access to the upgraded versions, same as we do. What I've seen in China and in the US, the Americans have closed off their market for anyone outside of it, and China has also been introducing quite strict measures to close off the markets. So the countries that start building their own foundation models start gradually to close access to their markets, to their models for third countries. I am afraid we might follow suit. I am not a big proponent of closing the borders and things like that, but we see that this is a global trend with its own logic, so most likely we will not stay behind. We will join in. So it's useful to keep that in mind. GigaChat is naturally a multi-agent system, and based on GigaChat you can create all kinds of agents. If you've tried it already, you know that we are the fourth company in the world to create a new type of generation, of voice generation based on AI, and we've been able to embed it into the model. We have this so-called voice mode with 33 billion parameter model showing great results. The assistant that you heard at the beginning is not traditional voice generation that all assistants used to have. It's generative voice generation. It sounds exactly like a human being. It's emotional. It is much more capable of switching between different scenarios. You can interrupt it. You can ask it to clarify something. It can maintain. It can carry a conversation. And so since this latest release, this has been a brand new generation of Gen AI. We have issued a guideline, a guide on development and implementation of agents, and you can also have access to that guide. You can learn from our experience. You can ask our specialists. We have been working really hard on this, and we have made it available to all of you. A very, very important topic for all of us. The last 2 years have had these very unpleasant highlights of attacks on our country's infrastructure, on Russian companies' infrastructure. We have been involved in rebuilding them to some extent, but the latest big trend is that cyber criminals gain access to internal data, and they also run an encryptor on them. And not all encrypted data can be decrypted. And this is a very big challenge for all of us. Hackers were among the first to start using Gen AI for their attacks, and today what we see is that up to 16% of all cyber attacks are carried out using Gen AI. More than 80% of social engineering attacks have been targeting our people with such skill that even if you're knowledgeable, even if you know everything about their tricks, you can still become a victim. As soon as the first agents were created, we also created a multi-agent system that simulate attacks on our infrastructure. The first attacks showed that we had quite a big number of potential vulnerabilities that could be exploited. And we also created a multi-agent system that does the opposite, that defends us. The figures you're looking at on the slide show that with GenAI, with these multi-agent systems, we have been focusing even more attention on cybersecurity. Unfortunately, what we see is that we need to act in real time to test our systems, to test our borders, because new agents are emerging all the time for attacks, and we are also creating new agents to repel those attacks, to test our systems. There is no limitation on resources there. We see that sometimes thousands of agents are employed, multi-agent systems are employed. They are automating the development of new agents to identify vulnerabilities in the system. So we need even more multi-agent systems that can help us protect ourselves against hackers with their agents. Another huge trend, I've heard presentations by some tech analysts who said that the technology of blockchain is nowhere to be seen these days, that it's nearing its exit. And I don't think that's fair, because I think we see that blockchain has been growing very rapidly, a huge amount of investment in this industry. If we compare the 9 months of 2024 versus the 9 months of 2025, we will see a threefold growth. This is comparable to what we see with AI, I mean the growth rate. AI is attracting more investment, but still, this combination of multi-agent systems and blockchain systems will lead to radically new financial landscape globally, and I think the future of finance will be a context where we will have a decentralized system of digital financial assets. This will be the landscape around the globe. People will be increasingly using stable coins, not to mention cryptocurrencies. USDT is becoming the biggest stable coin, as we see, and we see this big trend. The US that have been developing their own centralized digital dollar have been gradually weaning themselves off it in favor of USDT and stable coin. This is one of the key trends which many other countries will be adopting. The amount of stable coins issued to this day is sufficiently material. And we see that the Americans have diverted their attention to stable coins because they realize that this can be a way more modern and reliable instrument to support their current level of debt. We see that investment in their stable coins is growing at a pretty rapid pace. And with some areas, they willingly close their eyes on certain compliance issues just to facilitate this inflow into stablecoin. In the countries where it's allowed, people are reaping the full potential of stablecoins. We see this with American banks, with European banks and Asian banks. This practice, unfortunately, is way ahead of us. We are lagging behind, and we have a lot to learn from them. Our dream is that our regulation can progress to a point where we will be allowed basic transactional functionality with stablecoins, because until that is allowed, everything blockchain, everything related to blockchain other than mining operations perhaps, will look like a sandbox. And we do need to exit that sandbox. So we are in a dialogue with the Bank of Russia on this. But the Bank of Russia has been adopting this active position. As I've heard, next week there will be this meeting at the Bank of Russia dedicated to this topic, and we really hope that the ice will break and we will gain the opportunity to use stablecoins as well. Primarily with rubles, stablecoin ruble transactions, not just for foreign trade, for domestic operations as well, because the foreign trade potential is still relatively small for us. Stablecoins and AI agents, plus the blockchain technology, this is the future of finance. There is no doubt. I see no other bigger trend. Maybe it will emerge at some point, but clearly the combination of these two technologies will give us a completely new quality of the financial landscape in Russia and across the globe. And we do need to catch up and join this trend as soon as possible. We have quite a big number of companies and most banks experimenting with this. Companies are starting to run experiments with this, with digital assets. I think that the main stop factor is the transactional activity, which is absolutely crucial for us to start taking full advantage of this technology at a high level. Understandably, these new tools that are emerging are used these days by large funds, banks, startups. Stripe is no longer a startup, perhaps, but still. Having completed the first stage of building the infrastructure, the blockchain infrastructure, they are currently building on top of it the infrastructure for multi-agent systems. And I think very, very soon we will see the outcome. I've already mentioned that we're open to cooperation. All of the tools, all of the solutions that we're bringing to the market are available, publicly available to everyone. We believe that this last step that we took at the end of November this year, was us answering the question of whether we are ready to share our technology without limitations. We had thought long and hard about this, and eventually we decided that all of our innovations, all of the solutions that we develop should be publicly available, should be open to all of you, that we should work with you, in collaboration with you, with other developers, be it ChatGPT, OpenAI, or Qwen. With them, you will never gain access to the foundation model, the possibility to fine-tune or to modify the foundation model for your goals, for your business tasks. On the contrary, with Russian developers, if you're a Russian developer, you can contribute to the development of our models, and you can adjust it to your tasks. So the choice is clear, in my opinion. I don't want to impose anything. It's your decision. analyze the pros and cons. But the bottom line is that we are completely open to cooperation. And if you're ready to get engaged, we will do all we can not to let you down. Thank you very much for your attention. I wish you a very productive conference, interesting sessions, and thank you for your cooperation. Herman Gref, thank you very much for such an inspiring opening speech with